These are the directions for your final draft bubble letters. Hopefully by now you have practiced enough that you feel relatively comfortable with starting your final. If not, don't hesitate to grab more practice paper and practice a little more. Don't forget your name and teacher code. I suggest putting it in the middle on the back in pencil because you will be trimming a little bit of the edge off and you don't want to lose your name. Just as we practice, the first thing you're going to do is start writing your letters extremely lightly. You want to make them large enough that they're almost close to your edge. So very, very big letters. If you have a long word, you might have to make your letters a little bit taller. After you have your letters on there very lightly, remember I said not to push too hard so that you're able to erase this. So if you notice, I can erase very easily. If you press too hard, it makes it very hard to erase that original line. And also, I did not mention that you could use lowercase, which that is completely acceptable as well. When you start adding your bubbles, you're going to go really close to the edge. We want to use as much as our paper as possible. And then every time you add a bubble to your next letter, it should touch the previous letter. So all your letters are going to kind of bump into each other, so you have minimal space. After you have your pencil lines perfected, go ahead and trace with a Sharpie marker. Then you'll start coloring inside of your letters with whatever color marker you choose. Make sure that you're coloring almost like making lines, like large lines with the side of your marker, kind of like this. Instead of going like this and making a bunch of kind of icky marks on your paper. It looks much nicer this way, and it actually goes just as fast, and it saves my markers as well. So really take your time and you decide how you want to color in your letters. So any color, if you want to create kind of a pattern in colors, that's fine too. So really take your time and color in all of your letters. When you're done adding color, obviously I'm moving ahead to show you the next step. You're going to cut around the black edge, leaving some white space in between and leaving the middle parts because we're going to add different Ben-Day dots or stripes in here. If you need to, you can take a pencil and sort of plan where your white space might be left. So now I know to follow my pencil line and the outside of my black line all the way around. So carefully cut that out. There is no specific regimen to cutting that out and leaving the white space. So if you decide that you want to cut this area out or cut this a little bit farther down, that's perfectly fine. But leaving a little bit of white space allows for areas to add patterns. So you decide if you want to use just black or if you want to use colors. If you're not quite steady-handed, you might want to avoid doing the lines, or you could do both. It's really up to you. You could do thick and thin lines, anything that you could imagine, even dots. Make sure if you're doing dots that you're being very gentle on the markers so you're not smushing the tip. So you shouldn't be making much noise if you make any noise at all. So be very, very gentle and go ahead and add your lines and patterns in there. Just remember, it's so important to do your cutting first, because if you don't cut it out first, you're going to be making all these extra lines and patterns and potentially cutting them off. So cut first and then add your patterns.